So right now you've just published your third book. Yes.
Yes.
And I believe
my
you
baby.
might even have a copy there. Fantastic. So, so that's called The Unlikely Entrepreneur.
Yes.
And you've written two others previously.
Yes.
And from what I've been reading up a little bit on you in the last couple of days, and from what I can tell, and I'm not sure what it was like with this third book, but the first two books definitely, you actually wrote them in quite a short space of time.
Yes.
And
yes. It makes me feel like the third one took forever. Yes, all completely different processes, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So this third one was a different process to the first two?
Yeah, very much so. So I actually have all of my books sitting here. Let me see if I can grab them for you. Just this week, the first time ever that I've actually ever seen all my books in one place. So these are my first two books. This one's Transformational Leaders, and that one's The Lie. And I was laughing the other day. I was like, "Oh, I've got an Emily Gowor bookshelf happening." So I just keep growing this thing. I was like, "I want more." You know, it's kind of a funny experience. But yeah, so Transformational Leaders was, in terms of the writing process, probably took about a year, but not because it took me that long to write, but actually just because I was interviewing. So I had a lot of time in between interviewing the leaders. So there was, actually each chapter took me no more than 2.5 hours to create. So if you multiply that by 13 and then do a glaze over edit, it really took me less than a week to create that book. So it was really, really, really easy. It was the easiest book I think I've ever written. And it's a beautiful book. So, but then The Lie, which is a co-authored book, which was written in like 8 days, 8 to 10 days, while with my co-author, Mike Hancock, and we were in Bali together, and we literally sat down, and we have a lot of birds here, sharing our viewpoints on 14 different topics. And so we did like 45 minutes to an hour per chapter. He would share his perspective and I would share mine, and we would just go, okay, let's write about this, and then we would just pump it out. So that book got done really fast.
Fantastic. And so those two processes were, done quite quickly, apart from the interview beforehand. Pardon?
They were relatively painless.
Because a lot of people are out there, wanting to write a book. So, it's helpful to know that you can actually create something in a short space of time. Absolutely.
It doesn't have to drag on for years. And I was just writing about that yesterday, that one of my sadnesses is how long it takes some people just to write one book, and that they never actually get it done. Like, so long that it never gets done. And that's the horrible. Like, if it takes you 5 years, you publish it and it's a masterpiece, hat off to you. But yeah, if it takes forever, or you think it doesn't have to take forever. I basically say to myself, one book per year, maybe one, maybe two, and then just kind of estimate it and then just go, because it's quite a big time frame still. It's very doable.
And do you have a strategy for how you get that done?
For how I would get a book written?
Well, yeah, exactly. So how you go about that writing process, because many people, when it comes to creativity, have stuff around that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So definitely have different strategies, and the strategy for the book depends on the outline and the structure of the book. So that's going to get a bit technical, but for example, Transformational Leaders was an interview style. So it was 10 questions by 13 people, and then it was like one, you to complete the chapter. So it was kind of the strategy for that was quite simple. So that actually, the better the strategy, I think, potentially the quicker it takes, which may or may not be true, but I think in some cases it is. Also, The Lie was very much the same. It was like, we pick these topics, this is how many topics we do. You do 1,500 words, which is not a lot. It's like 2 pages, and then, or 3 pages, and then you do the other 1,500. You do the truth, I'll do the lie, because the book is the left-hand side of the page and the right-hand side, and then you just kind of power it out. So there's different strategies. The Unlikely Entrepreneur was like somewhere between expressing everything that's inside of me with ease and drawing blood out of a stone. So it was a totally different experience, and not as easy to structure as a lot of other books would be, purely because I didn't actually know everything I was going to write when I started writing. And so I had these open-ended questions even up until the last couple of months of writing the book. And it was very much heart on the table, open your soul, let people read your mind kind of book. And so it was going to take probably a little bit longer and have a slightly different strategy to it than the other two books. So yeah, different. But even that had a strategy in itself. It was just a different strategy.